Welcome to Everything Casual, bringing you original football casual videos from the golden era of the 80s and 90s, right up to current day. Football away day stories and historic clashes between football firms. Subscribe so you don't miss out. We upload videos every week. Mostly I make videos about other firms, incidents or football casual terrace legends. But now and again, I will make a video about my own away day experiences, and this is one of them. It is absolutely all true and a real story, and I have plenty to tell. Hope you enjoy. Las Vegas away day with the football lads. This is a bit of a different away day, but it's still a story about an away day, and it has a bit of everything for you. Even a row in Las Vegas with some Californian rich kids, which didn't end very well for them. But I want to start the story off with a bit of a funny one. Well, depends on how you look at it. It wasn't very funny for my mate. It was his stag week in Vegas, but the wedding never happened. It was cancelled because of what happened on the stag week. Here goes. My mate, let's call him Mark. I will not use his real name in case his children are watching. They don't know about what happened, and I have no intention of them finding out from me. But let's just say Mark was a naughty boy in Las Vegas. He slept with a prostitute. His missus's stepdad and brother was with us in Vegas, but didn't know about the prostitute, by the way. We kept it from them, but we all chipped in for his night of passion with the pro. A couple of days after we got home from Vegas, Mark was still buzzing at the whole experience. We all were. Mark waited for his missus to go to bed with the newborn baby. The baby was sleeping in bed with Mark's missus at the time, and Mark was sleeping in the spare room. He had to be up early mornings for work, so didn't do night feeds to the baby. Anyway, he waited for his missus to go to bed. He said his goodnights and called one of his mates on the phone. His mate wasn't able to come to Vegas, so Mark wanted to tell him all about it. Mark told him everything, every single detail about the prostitute, how she was absolute filth and the best he had ever slept with, and all the things they'd done in bed that night, how he kept thinking about it, and how he wanted more. The problem was, he didn't realise the baby monitor was still on in the living room and was connected to his missus' bedroom. She heard everything. He got thrown out the family home first thing in the morning. Lads, you know how it is. Sometimes you can talk your way around. Sometimes you have to sleep on the sofa for a period of time and take it on the chin. Promise your missus the world. Tell her you will change, you're sorry, and all that. And in the end, all is forgiven. Not Mark's missus. She wasn't having any of it. But Mark was the breadwinner. He was paying the mortgage and bills but still got thrown out. So in the end they sold the house and went their separate ways, and the wedding was cancelled. He lost thousands of pounds. His kids are all grown up now, and he's a fantastic dad. I have so many stories to tell about holidays away with the football lads. We have done Ibiza, and Ayia Napa was the most notable and eventful. I just don't know if you boys want to hear it, so I will tell you about Las Vegas and we will see how it's received. So, Las Vegas it is. We were flying out from Manchester and the flight was early hours in the morning, so we all decided we would stay in a hotel in a place called Didsbury, which wasn't that far from the airport. We all said our goodbyes to our families and missuses and got a minibus to Didsbury, got to the hotel at around 7 p.m. There was 18 of us, all proper football lads. Well, 16 actually. The other two were Mark's missus' stepdad and her brother. They wasn't into football and had no idea what we were about. We all went for a drink in Didsbury, but the dad and brother stayed in the hotel and didn't want to join us. They said they wanted an early night and were going to get their head down. Fine by me. Mark seemed happy that they wouldn't be joining us too. Everyone knew we had to behave and couldn't drink too much as our flight was in just a few hours. It was a Monday night and Didsbury was relatively dead. We started off in a pub that promoted live, up-and-coming bands. It could have been an Irish bar, I can't remember. I have no idea what the place was called either, but to be fair, that pub was busy for a Monday night. We moved on to a nightclub, but it was for students. It was a dive, and we stood out like a sore thumb, in our mid-20s, some of us in our 30s, and the most senior lads in their 40s. surrounded by 18-year-old scruffy goths. We was getting looks, but we wasn't bothered. We didn't want any trouble. Plus we were all excited about going to Vegas in a few hours. We got talking to three birds from Belfast. They were studying in Manchester. They were good girls, to be fair, very friendly, and seemed more interested in us than the spotty, geeky goth boys in the club. What I remember like it was yesterday was the song Mr. Brightside. I had never heard it before, but the DJ played it about 4 times throughout the night, and the crowd would go absolutely wild each time, throwing drinks in the air and headbanging. I asked one of the Belfast girls what was going on, and she said that the song Mr. Brightside was going to be a massive hit, and everyone around the university was playing it constantly. And it turned out she was right, but the song hadn't been released yet. Every time I hear Mr. Brightside, it reminds me of the night before Las Vegas in Didsbury. Nothing noteworthy happened that night. We just had banter with the Belfast girls about their accent. Nobody put it on them either. These were just young uni girls. So we wished them well and headed back to our hotel and managed to get about 3 hours sleep before the flight. The flight itself landed in Chicago, then we had to get a connecting flight to Vegas. We all got seats in close proximity to each other, but we were all too tired to play up on the flight. It was a quiet one, and most of us slept. We landed, got our luggage, and got taxis to our hotel. We were staying in a place called Circus. It turned out to be the worst hotel on the Las Vegas Strip, but it was the cheapest. I think we paid 600 quid for 4 nights and flight included. But this was 20 years ago. To be fair, Circus was the worst hotel on the Strip, but it wasn't that bad. It was decent. Don't forget, I was used to staying in dives in Blackpool for Awaydays. This place was on a different level. We all dropped our bags off in our rooms and had a quick look around the hotel casino and got a bite to eat. We were all absolutely shattered, so agreed we would go up for a 1 or 2 hour nap and freshen up and meet back in the casino. Then the 2-hour nap turned into 8 hours. We were all nailed and out for the count. I would have carried on sleeping, but the main lads of our group were up and going from room to room, waking us up and saying it was time to go out. We got showered and dressed and hit the casino. The first thing that hit me was our hotel was massive and had a roller coaster inside the building. A weird thing about Vegas is when you are inside a hotel casino, you have no idea what time it is. Is it day or night? It's like you are in the Twilight Zone. My trainers kept sticking to the carpet. That's one thing the place had in common with Blackpool. Some of the older lads had come to Vegas to gamble and play poker, and for that experience, but the younger ones like me had come to party. But one of the good things about Vegas is that if you are gambling, the staff will bring drinks over to you for free. As many as you like too. I couldn't believe it. So we would stand around the senior lads and watch them gamble, pretend we were involved too, and the waitress would bring our drinks. As soon as we got them in our hand, the younger lads would walk off and explore the hotel. Another thing that hit me about Vegas was the food. Each hotel had its own all-you-can-eat buffet with foods from all over the world. So our drinks were free in the casino, and for around 6 quid, you could eat as much food as you wanted. Happy days. Now, all this was great for a couple of hours, but the younger lads was getting bored. We wanted to get out and explore the Strip and other hotels, so we went for a walk. Wow. Vegas is unreal. Each hotel was the size of a shopping mall, and each had different themes. This was 20 years ago, and whilst absolutely English people visited Las Vegas, I don't think groups of 16 lads, all youngish dressers, were doing Vegas. The Americans were loving us. Every hotel we would go in, they would stop us and ask us stupid questions about the Queen, London and the Beatles. They didn't know the difference between London and Liverpool. They thought we only really had London in England. I found the Yanks friendly, but had shocking dress sense. Every single lad had either a basketball vest and shorts on, or was wearing oversized clothes. Or the older guys would be wearing a suit with a baseball cap and sunglasses. A bit like how Donald Trump dresses now. We were asking them about nightlife and clubs. Everyone was telling us to go to the nightclub in the Luxor Hotel, and that it was the best in Vegas. We then tried the Mirage Hotel. It was like being on a different planet. Our hotel had a roller coaster inside, but the Mirage had a volcano that erupts every few hours, and had tigers and stuff inside. Vegas was blowing my mind. We got round 2 or 3 more hotels that night and headed back to Circus Circus to meet up with the rest of the lads and tell them all about the Strip. Another thing I noticed was the Strip was great, but walking back I noticed little side streets off the Strip that were very dodgy and grim with all sorts going on. These streets were very dimly lit too, with hardly any light. There was 100% drug dealing and other stuff going on. We passed the street where the rapper Tupac was killed, and that was only a few years prior. The surrounding areas was dodgy, and I made a mental note of not to play up around those areas and make sure none of the lads got rowdy too. I don't shy away from trouble or rows, but you always have to be switched on to your surroundings. Plus, I'm not getting nicked and thrown in a Vegas cell for anyone. We had a good couple of days of partying. Honestly, at times it was getting like the film The Hangover. We became friends with a group of high-class prostitutes. We kept bumping into them in places like the Bellagio and the nightclub in the Luxor. They approached us. They saw that we were a group of lads, different from anything else around in Las Vegas. We made it clear we wouldn't be paying for their services. These were high-class girls, and very expensive by the way, the best in Las Vegas. All of them were worldies, absolutely stunning. I think they commanded 150 quid a night, and that was 20 years ago, so you get a rough idea of what the price would be now. They told us that their client base was millionaires and high flyers that visited Vegas. But honestly, they were intrigued by us. They liked the way we dressed and carried ourselves. They told us we were so different from American lads. At the time we were wearing brands like Armani and Versace, and the Yanks was wearing basketball vests. Whenever they didn't have clients they would hang out with us, and they showed us around the best places to go. Even warned us about a few tricks that other prostitutes used on men they considered vulnerable, which ended up with men getting robbed by the pimps and gangs that controlled the girls. We all chipped in and paid for Mark to be with one of the girls for the night. We just had to make sure his missus's brother and stepdad wasn't around, and told the girls not to mention it to them either. A couple of times I was tempted to pay to be with one of the girls, but Vegas did have normal American birds around on hen dos, or just on a regular night out, and we fancied our chances. Just having an English accent was a big advantage. We got talking to some girls from New York. They was in Vegas for a few nights. Again, these girls was stunning, but they are very different from English girls. It's a different culture. One night stands wasn't really a thing for them. They just didn't do it. It's not Ayia Napa, where you pull a bird for the night and take her back to your room, do your business, and give a fake phone number. Nope, not a chance of anything like that with an American bird. It just wasn't a thing. Not really great banter either, but lovely people and wanted to be around us. So we all enjoyed each other's company. A couple of us managed a cheeky kiss. They would ask us to say different words, like chair or table, and when we did, they would giggle. My advice to any single English guy is get to Las Vegas. You could get yourself a worldly American, they absolutely love us. That's where I would be if I was single, no question. Anyway, we all went to the Luxor. We were drunk, and out of nowhere, we started singing songs about how we defeated America in the Battle of Brooklyn Bridge. We were singing it to a bunch of American lads, hoping they would bite. I think it was the lad culture coming out of us, because we had been drinking, but the lads had absolutely no intention of engaging with us whatsoever. They just looked at us with blank expressions on their faces. They probably couldn't even understand what we were singing or what we were singing about. Again, that sort of behaviour isn't in their culture. But we persisted with the song about defeating them on Brooklyn Bridge, but it fell on deaf ears, so we just moved on. We were wasting our breath and drawing attention to ourselves. We got into the club. The main doorman was from Hereford and could tell straight away that we were English. He seemed pleased to see us, but told us to behave. He told us he was ex-Special Forces, and he was clearly in charge of all the other bouncers. He said if we behaved he would get us in the VIP section. He stayed true to his word. We got into the VIP. We told everyone that we was a football team from the UK. They all bought it, and we was getting a lot of attention. We noticed that there was 5 or 6 young lads in there giving it loads, throwing cash around at people. They were dressed differently to the other Yanks. They were dressed like golfers, white pristine jumpers tied around their waist or around their necks. We clocked them, grabbing girls' asses, and when the girls told them where to go, they would throw insults at them, saying things like, "Do you know who we are? Our families could buy and sell you." The Hereford bouncer had a word with them, but they laughed in his face. We asked him what the deal was, and he said they were rich brats from California that came to the club every now and again. One of them had allegedly indecently assaulted a young Mexican girl in a room in the Luxor, but got away with it because Mummy and Daddy paid her family off. I can't have people like that. It makes my skin crawl. We started talking to them and told them to calm down and behave. They asked who we were and what we did. We said we were footballers. They laughed and said soccer is a girl's sport in the USA. Before I tell you how we dealt with the rich brats, I want to tell you about something else that really made me laugh. In the VIP section, we was looking down onto the dance floor. I noticed an exchange of words between 2 lads. I thought to myself, it's gonna kick off here, and I was eager to see how the Americans would fight. Would it be a dirty fight? Would someone grab a stool? Would they get in a boxing stance? The crowd made a circle around the 2 lads. Here we go. The crowd started shouting, "Dance off! Dance off!" I was confused, wasn't sure what was happening. They settled the argument with a dance off. What the hell? Us lot all burst out laughing, couldn't believe what I was seeing. After the dance off finished, the 2 lads hugged and the crowd clapped. If only rows were settled like that at Millwall away. Funny stuff. Another thing about the clubs over there was the music. Horrible. Like a trance music with a loud beat. I'm not talking about garage music or anything we have over here. This was different gravy. In the end they played hip-hop and R&B, which was decent. But the trance crappy stuff they played most of the night was horrible. None of that last slow song of the night. And you ask a bird to dance, and it's your last chance to pull for the night. Nothing at all like that. Anyway, we managed to get the girls from New York in the VIP section with us, and we was all having a good time. Then, one of the rich divs came over, stood in front of one of our lads and started talking to one of the girls from New York that my mate was talking to. He even had the nerve to say something like, "What are you doing with this gay soccer player?" Enough was enough. They was taking too many liberties. One of his mates had a stupid grin on his face and tried to walk over and join him. He brushed past me, and as he went past I grabbed his collar and pulled him back and said, "Where do you think you're going?" "I don't think so." The rest of them saw that and rushed over. Straight away my lads jumped in and fronted up to them. My mate punched the guy who jumped in front of him to talk to the girl, knocked him straight out. Too easy. It was almost like bullying. These guys couldn't row and had clearly never been in a fight in their life. But we couldn't let them take the piss. The rest of them started shouting that we would pay for what we've done. A couple of them got smacked too. I couldn't resist. The adrenaline had kicked in. I threw a punch at the guy that pushed in front of me. I caught him straight on the chin, and he just collapsed and started shaking on the floor. I kicked him around on the floor about 3 times, then stamped on his chest before the bouncer from Hereford ran over with his crew. He told us to leave the club straight away. He said he wasn't throwing us out, but we should leave for our own good right now. We refused. There were 16 of us and 5 bouncers. We was prepared to have it off. The guy from Hereford said he didn't want trouble. He wasn't bothered. We had clumped those lads but said something that they had connections, and we should leave the Luxor now and go back to wherever we were staying. It was for our own good. We reluctantly left and made our way back to Circus. The next day we bumped into the girls from New York in our hotel. They said that about an hour after we left the Luxor, the rich kids came back with 6 or 7 men dressed like they were Hell's Angels bikers, and they were scouring the club looking for us. The girls asked us not to go back to the Luxor and said that these people were a serious deal. We never went back to the Luxor. We only had 1 night left anyway, so all the lads entered poker tournaments and had a good gamble. Las Vegas was something else. I loved every single minute of it, and I would return back there. But that's a different story, and Mark never got married because his missus found out about the prostitute, like I said at the beginning of the story, and that was that. Sometimes whatever happens in Vegas doesn't always stay in Vegas. If you have any good away day stories to tell and would like it to be in a video, then get in touch. If it's a decent story, I would be more than happy to put it in a video. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. If you would like to see more, because I have many more stories to tell, then please like this video and click the subscribe logo in the bottom right of this screen. Thanks again and see you next time.